Now, all relationships should have a little magic in them. And boy, did the common and ordinary Darrin Stephens get a lot of magic added to his life when he married the witch Samantha. And actor Richard Allen York laid some solid foundations for the character of Darrin at the start of Bewitched.
You're a what?
I'm a witch.
Only for him to disappear. So what exactly happened? What promising career got snuffed out too soon? The answer to this is a bit heartbreaking, as his story ended far before his time.
Don't fight with it.
I've had enough of this silly farce. Now, what is it you intend to do?
I'm your host, Nostalgic Nick, with these details and more, including the surprising hobby York took up after battling inner demons. If you enjoyed today's video, please give it a thumbs up to show your support. Subscribe to our channel so you never miss a new deep dive. But come on, let's get going. I think I hear Aunt Endora approaching. Who was the first Darrin? When it came time to cast Darrin, the showrunners needed someone who could be outrageous and a straight man to Samantha's magical mayhem. To get there, York came very far down the line of succession. Originally, a fella named Dick Sargent was tapped to be Darrin, but after some back and forth and changing Samantha actresses, Sargent signed up to do ABC's show Broadside. Next up was Richard Crenna, but Crenna had just finished years on The Real McCoys and was done with TV for a bit. Now enter York, armed to the teeth with a huge, impressive resume on radio, theater, television, and film.
Oh, when you're sharp, everything goes your way.
He also had quite the tough upbringing, growing up in poverty and losing a brother to malnourishment. He actually channeled his early grief into acting and once said, quote, "I think actors who experience a deep sense of loss find it easier to relate to the dramatic or comedic aspects of their craft." He recalled, quote, "I went in and met with Elizabeth, and then someone handed us a script and we did a quick run-through. Then they did another run-through in front of Bill Asher and Harry Ackerman. After that, he jumped onto Elizabeth's lap and said, quote, 'Hey, aren't we cute together? You can hire us.'" What is the movie They Came to Cordura about? The year was 1959, and Dick York appeared in the film They Came to Cordura. The star-studded Western featured York alongside the stunning Rita Hayworth and the serene Gary Cooper in a thrilling adventure of betrayal and redemption. Jump to the second-to-last day of filming, the final home stretch. The scene called for York and a few others to operate a railroad handcar full of wounded men. Well, the director yelled, "Cut," and everything changed. One of the extras in the cart got up and leaned on the opposite side of the handle York was holding. Everyone else had let go, but York was still holding on and totally unprepared for taking on that extra weight. It wrenched his spine and tore his muscles along the entire right side.
That did it. I'm calling the doctor.
In his own chilling words, quote, "They just snapped and let loose. And this injury never fully healed, and there was no surgery that would fix the damage. The only thing he could do was slap a band-aid over it, which was drugs." As York himself puts it, quote, "That was the start of it all. The pain, the painkillers, the addiction, the lost career." What happened to the first Darrin? Dick York proved himself time and again. He was what anyone could dream as the leading man. Sol Sachs heard chatter about York not being good looking enough, but as far as he was concerned, his appearance was a huge plus, an opinion Elizabeth shared too.
Take the advice of an old man. Don't look a gift horse in the mouth.
Somewhat ironically, one of York's best buddies on set was Endora herself, Agnes Moorehead. They especially bonded over religion, with Agnes being a fundamentalist, and York practicing a New Age kind of spirituality. Moorehead thought he was one of the most talented actors on set. He returned the affections with the nickname Aggie. Aww. But then came the setbacks that was York's horrific back injury. You see, he could barely manage the pain, and the drugs and painkillers just got stronger and stronger. By season 3, his situation got worse, with a degenerative spinal condition. For the first 4 seasons, York worked around it, but it soon became clear the actor was just worn down, and by season 5, it was visible on camera. Everything reached a head in the season 5 episode, Daddy Does His Thing. York skipped lunch that day to see a doctor and try and get some relief, but his doctor wasn't in. He could only be seen by someone filling in, and that person gave him some B12 vitamins. Now, back at work, York filmed a scene with Maurice Evans on some 15-foot scaffolding. He was under the blaring hot stage lights, exhausted with so many chemicals in his painful body. It was all just too much. York collapsed in a fit of seizures and was rushed to the hospital. Dick York would never return to set. Why did they switch Darrin on Bewitched? Now, York really did want to return to Bewitched, he really did. But as the show put in episodes without Darrin and gave the character's scenes to Larry Tate, they made plans to move on. He confessed, quote, "All I wanted was that summer to rest up." Quite a few people wanted York to stay on too, but Dick York was tapped out in favor of Dick Sargent, choice number 1 from years ago.
Darrin, just one more thing.
Yes, Larry?
You're fired.
The Bewitched team tread on very thin ice. At one point, they figured they write off the change in appearance as something Aunt Endora caused. Elizabeth shot this idea down because of the irreparable wall it would build between Sam and Endora. She said, quote, "Samantha would never have put up with that. It wouldn't have been fair to the characters or the actors, and the audience would have hated it." As far as York was concerned, quote, "They should have changed the character completely. Darrin should have been killed off, or he and Samantha should have gotten a divorce." Bill Asher thought that was completely contrary to the spirit of the show, and so they jumped into the big switch, asking audiences to bear with them during this period of growing pains. What happened to York on Bewitched? Before everything went horribly wrong for York, he did find the greatest thing in his life. He was working on the radio program Jack Armstrong All-American Boy when he met a fellow radio performer, Joan Alt. The two fell head over heels in love, and by 51, they tied the knot.
Well, she's sort of gorgeous.
They stuck together and had 5 children: Kim, Stacy, Matthew, Christopher, and Mandy. York also took up art. A favorite subject was drawing his beloved family, and he was very talented. And if you want to see some of his great creations, go to bewitched.net. A treasure trove of goodies and tidbits related to all things Bewitched. Definitely check that out. York, however, never did get back into acting, even after he quit the drugs. He quit them cold turkey, and he became nearly broke, with the family living off his $650 monthly pension from the Screen Actors Guild. But York had a lot of medical needs in his life. He smoked a ton, and so he suffered from emphysema. It got to the point where York relied on an oxygen tank, and eventually, this larger-than-life personality ended up bedridden. But even that could not stop this force of nature. For one thing, he recorded his memories, which were then transcribed into what became his memoir, The Seesaw Girl and Me. Dick York did not get to see his spoken memories published, as on February 20th, 1992, the powerhouse actor Dick York passed away. He was but 63 years old. His memoir published posthumously, and he also left behind a charity he set up called Acting for Life, dedicated to helping the homeless and all others in need. From his bedridden state, York called politicians, businesses, and fellow citizens, getting everyone to donate food and money to his noble cause, proving once again his readiness to put his entire heart into anything and everything he did. In his memoir, Between Bouts of Pain and Breathlessness, York mused, quote, "I conquer the unnameable," and he certainly tried to do just that in every aspect of life, helped along the way by friends and family, and a certain spirit you have to have when dealing with that kind of enduring pain. Alright, who was your favorite Darrin Stephens? What are your favorite moments of this guy dealing with Samantha's magic? And what's another great project that York was in that I should check out? If you enjoyed today's video, please give it a thumbs up to help it circulate. Subscribe to our channel so you never miss a new deep dive. But from all of us here at Do You Remember, I am your host, Nostalgic Nick, and oh my stars, thank you so much for watching.